This lesson is about choosing units of measurement for length. I hope that you know there are 4 metric units of measurement and that you can think in your head now what they are, and then I'm going to reveal them. So have a bit of a think about that for a minute. Here we go. Millimetres, centimetres, metres, and kilometres or kilometres. And hopefully you've noticed what they all have in common, because it's not very hard to figure out. They all have that word metres in them because they're all related to metres. So let's have a look at the language. Millimetres, if you break it up, milli means thousandth. So a millimetre is 1,000th of a metre. And I'll put that metres in red so that it stands out a little bit for you. So there's a relationship between millimetres and metres, and the language helps you remember. So 1,000th of a metre. Centimetres. Well, centi means hundredth, so hopefully you can work out that a centimetre is 100th of a metre. Pretty obvious. Metres are the base unit. Again, I'm sure you've worked that out by now. And kilometres, well, kilo means 1,000, so a kilometre is 1,000 metres. And hopefully you knew that as well. I'm going to show you some different objects now, and if we think about what unit of measurement would you use to measure each of these objects, I want you to pause the video and have a think about it, and then restart it and we'll go through it together. So do it yourself first. You need to write it down in your book so you can show your teacher at the end of the video. All right, welcome back. If we look at an eraser, our choices we can think about, would we measure that in millimetres or centimetres or metres? What do you think? I'm going to see if I can draw a circle around it. All right, I think you could probably use millimetres to measure an eraser because it's so small. If you really wanted to, you could probably use centimetres as well, but I think millimetres is your best choice for something as small as an eraser. What about a pencil? What did you decide about the pencil? I think probably you could use either millimetres or centimetres for your pencil, depending on how long it was. If it was a really short pencil because you've sharpened it lots of times and it's only little, you'd probably use millimetres. If it's a brand new pencil and it's quite long, you'd probably use centimetres. So you can see that it might vary on the situation. What about a table? I'd probably use centimetres for a table. You could use metres, but you'll end up using decimals, I think, for most desks, most tables. So that's what I would suggest. You use centimetres for something like a desk. A doorway. I put this in because it's interesting. If you're a builder, you might know this, or if your parents or family have builders in them. We look at a doorway and go, it's pretty tall. I'd probably measure it in metres. Again, you'd need to use decimals if you were measuring it in metres. So if you wanted to avoid that, you could measure it in centimetres. If you were a builder, builders actually measure it in millimetres. And I wonder if you can think about why that might be. Hopefully you've had a bit of a think. The reason builders use millimetres to measure something even as large as a door frame is because it's more accurate. Because they've got to measure the wood and cut it the right size, millimetres allows them to get it exactly right so it fits. But probably if it was just you and me, I would probably go with centimetres, maybe metres. Okay, there's one more down the bottom, which I haven't shown you before, but this is a map showing Innaburra School and Menai Marketplace. If you had to measure the distance from those two places, you wouldn't use millimetres. You'd be there for a few years trying to use millimetres to measure that, because millimetres are very small and this is a very large distance. And so I know that you're all screaming at me. The answer now is kilometres, that you would use kilometres to measure a distance that is so long. You wouldn't even want to be using a trundle wheel to count in metres for that one. You want to get in your car and drive around and use your odometer on your car to be able to measure in kilometres. Hopefully that will help you with your decisions of what unit of length that you choose to measure different things. And Thank you for listening.